Turn on, tune in, and do it fast. It's time for the Evercast. Are you ready to greet Ed, Rich, Crow, and Pete as they talk Evercade? Good times will never fade. Put away the switchblade, sheath the sword of Vienna. Stop the blaster master, there's no enemy below as we dip into euphoria. Turn on, tune in, and do it fast. It's time for the Evercast.
Hey, we're all here. Oh my God.
Yeah, so to speak.
Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. We got Crow at the pinball convention.
Right.
Crow's moving. He's on the go.
Yep.
Pinball Expo 25.
Woohoo!
We got all sorts of conventions going on. We got Pinball Expo 25. We got PGRE.
Yeah, I saw a video of Intelligent Gamer at PRG taking a look at the Intellivision Sprint.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a pretty good video.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he was doing his intro and Pat Country just walked through his shot.
Yeah, he just walked right into his shot. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Like,
awesome.
that was too funny.
You should have told him and said, "See, here's the Amico."
I don't think.
But yeah, it's that device seems like a pretty cool one. You know, a little disappointing that it doesn't have certain features that, of course, literally every Intellivision fan would ask for. But you know, maybe in a V2. Maybe in a V2.
Yeah, it's just another. I mean, outside of Bluetooth, it's just another Intellivision Lives.
Yeah, it's like a flashback. Yeah, it's a flashback with wireless controller and HDMI and all that.
Yeah, that's
stuff.
pretty much it.
Yeah. But it is kind of cool though that they have that it was confirmed that USB slot is for your fun flash devices like this. You can put some ROMs in there and.
Evercade has a much better curation of Intellivision games.
Yes, that's true. That is true. You got
in my humble opinion.
I like the set that we have on Evercade for sure.
Oh, it was Crow.
Oh, look at that.
Dragon's Machine.
What is it?
It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh shit! Yeah, nice.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That is very cool.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah, well, I suppose I should say hi to the chat.
Of course.
We got a lot of people here. We got Rasta, got Spins, Ballistic Coffee Boy, got Lloyd R. Jim, got DF, got this empty pixel guy. We got Ian Hobbies. We got Morley. See, Morley told you I'd be here today.
Nice.
Phantom. Yep.
What's going on?
Cool. Well, chat's booming and everything is awesome. So here's what was so funny because Pete came into one of my live streams and like somebody like ratted him out like right away when he changed his name and I didn't know. He was like, "Oh, sucks, man." That was kind of funny. I wouldn't have known either.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, one guy who watched both our content ratted me up.
Yeah. That was just funny. Wow, I don't know if it's too early or does Crow have a pass where he gets in earlier because it looks quiet.
Well, I just walked right in because this is the third day I'm here and I already have a badge. I don't have to wait in line.
There you go.
The third day. God.
Nice.
How much have you spent so far, Crow?
Probably close to $1,500.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. It's a little less than I thought.
I mean, it's pretty good for a pinball convention, to be honest. You get a couple of machines, you can run up a tab.
But I didn't buy any machines. I bought a ton of stuff to mod the Godzilla machine I have, though.
Oh, that's cool.
I actually, this is the most expensive thing I bought. Was right here. It's Pin Vision.
Oh man,
What is it?
But yeah.
They're speaker grills, but they have animations on them.
Oh,
that's cool.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty neat.
So yeah, they have actually over here a 007 machine with it on. And you can see.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
That's pretty cool. That's neat.
Pinballs are some expensive stuff. Ooh, Star Trek.
Yeah. Ooh,
Here's
Iron
another
Man.
one, Iron Maiden.
Nice. Very cool.
Midway. Morning. I got people just rolling in. These products are made for casual game. I forget what. Oh, we were talking on the television. I was like, what? Oh.
Yeah.
So we do have somebody backstage.
And it's not me.
Should we right? Should we bring him in? Should we allow him to come
Just
in?
let him sit there in the backstage the whole time.
Just let him sit back there for like an hour. We'll let him.
Hey, what's
Hello.
What's up?
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going.
Good.
Yeah, good to have you on.
No, thanks for having me on. Hope you guys are all really well. It's been quite a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while since we had you on. It's been going okay over in my neck of the woods. All sorts of crazy stuff going on. But
Yeah, you seem to be like eternally busy
yes.
all the time.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like-
no,
I can relate, but
100% true. All good stuff though. All very, very cool. So
that's nice.
but yeah, so we've been just watching Crow running around the pinball expo.
Loads
yeah.
of expos happening all at the same time.
Yeah,
Absolutely crazy. Who plans these things?
exactly. Yeah, they have this giant pinball expo at the same time as PGRE, and it's kind of weird.
Well, not only that, but Zachary Pinball released like 5 new tables, and also came out of early access. They've been in early access for like 15 years, and this like the first day of Pinball Expo was the day they come out.
Oh wow.
And then Zen Pinball released the 2 Elvira tables on the same day Pinball Expo opened.
That's right. Yeah, and then you still be able to get those videos out.
Well, that's because I had about a week and a half to work in those Elvira tables before they released.
Got it. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so we were talking a little bit, Sean, before you came on, about some of the announcements that were coming out of PGRE.
Some big announcements, aren't there?
Yeah, we're talking about the Intellivision Sprint a little bit. That's a pretty cool little thing. Of course, we were also talking about the fact that we would love to put cartridges in the thing, but that might be a like that. Looks like that's a V2 kind of thing. I saw the interview from the Intellivision gamer. Is he in the chat? Is he here?
Probably.
He's probably at PGRE again. Yeah, he's probably running around on the floor. But he had an interview with a rep from Atari, and they were talking about, hey, we would totally love to do that, but for now we're going to get the USB port where you can, put in some homebrews or something like that.
Yeah, I guess there's been enough Atari consoles or clone consoles over time that the cartridge slot and everything else is probably a lot more readily available than doing a brand new Intellivision one or Coleco or any of those kind of ones, isn't it? So
That's
yeah,
right.
it was a little. Yeah, it was a little bit surprising to me that they didn't have it. I mean, I can see that they've made concessions to get some kind of cart support in there, which will be interesting to see how it works. But no, it's exciting. It's cool. Like loads of the stuff that we've all loved and played, either if you've discovered Intellivision through Evercade or been a long time fan. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah. It was interesting too to see that on the Evercade collections, there's some pretty top hits that are missing from the Sprint, and I was like, it's a little bit of an eyebrow raise.
Yeah. The main one that I think is Cloudy Mountain, but I think that has had some changes of ownership over the last few months, maybe a bit longer than that. So yeah, it's tricky, but I think
I'm actually live right now.
Hello, pinball people.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm quite surprised, like with Crow's audio, that you just can't hear like the pinballs all the time. If you go into an arcade and you hear the pinballs, it's like the first thing you hear. Going into Vegas and hearing the coins drop from the things. Like when you go to pinball, that's the first thing you hear.
Clanging.
Well, I'm actually using a Bluetooth headset, so that might have something to do with it.
That's some pretty good noise canceling on that thing. I gotta tell you.
That is decent. That is decent. But yeah, no, the Intellivision thing is cool. I think it's a good load of games. I really like that they've got the inserts in as well, and they're all individual and printed and stuff. I think that's a really, really nice touch.
That is very cool.
I like that it's 2-player out of the box, which is kind of essential for that. See where we'll go. I have no idea when it's going to release in December. I know
5th,
it says December, but beginning, middle, certainly not end.
I think they said December 5th.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just think it's like outside of Bluetooth, like it's just I just think it's a pretty disappointing offering for the price. Also, I mean, it's no better than what we had 10 years ago or 15 years ago from At Games.
Yeah, with the flashback.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like, it's got HDMI, but like,
right.
I think if Atari, I think is just doing a bit of a cash grab on that one. I think they should have just waited and put it out like a 7800 plus they did, where you can actually put your games in and I have zero interest in that. I actually think the library is better on the Evercade for Intellivision than what that is.
Yeah.
There's, you still, and I'm wondering, I looked at the controller too, that Intellivision Gamer and I think Gen X Grown Up was at it. I'm like, there was an opportunity. I hope they didn't go with the same squishy design on that, the side buttons and stuff like that, because
apparently not. I've heard from something else.
I mean, if they've modernized that a little bit, it's okay, but it still feels like it's a half effort, not necessarily. I would have rather them took the approach of taking some Intellivision properties that they own now and recharging them or reprinting them, because there's certain Intellivision games that are just out of control price wise. Like they did, like the 7800, they redid a bunch of the carts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, that would be great if you could get like a
Christmas.
Yeah, we get a re-release of Spiker at a nice price point, or
I can't imagine this selling well either, because Intellivision is not like Atari. Atari systems are just name brands. Like Intellivision only ever sold 4 million units. Like it's a niche in a niche. Like it's like I just don't understand what they're doing with that. But Atari doesn't make too many missteps in the last couple of years. But I don't know. I already talked to a couple of my buddies who are deep into the Intellivision world here in Vancouver. They're down at PRGE, and they were like, it's not even something they're really. They might buy it to mod it. That's their thing.
Got it.
Yeah. I was kind of saying to people before, after that got announced, the fact that it's got that USB slot and the design of that USB slot is supposed to connect something else with a connector. It's kind of like, yeah, something's going to happen, isn't there? Somebody's going to.
Oh, yeah, it's going to get hacked and modded, but that's not the average person's going to do that, right? Like, what's the call to action to buy this for anybody who doesn't have an intimate knowledge of Intellivision? Like, there's like, I don't understand their play with this one.
Well, what actually is the price in dollars? Because if I go onto Atari.com, I'm getting it in pounds.
It's $149.99.
See, that's ridiculous.
It's $120 here off of Atari.com. I don't know what it is on any other sites.
It's ridiculously priced. It makes no sense. That's what I'm saying. It's like, Atari's done a lot of great things in the last 3-4 years, but this is not one of them.
Well, the plus is $129 US, right?
Yeah, but the plus you could play your 7800 library in it.
Right.
Yeah. And you could add ROMs if you want. Like you could do a bunch of stuff with that, right? Like that. So that's a bigger call to action. This one is like, who's like, I'm an Intellivision guy. I have the 124. Like I have all those games, and I'm like, I have zero interest in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like the mini consoles sort of came and went when we were looking at the Japanese brands and stuff, and the American brands bit slower to it. I've possibly, and mainly because of ownership and legal and all that kind of thing. And certainly over here, Intellivision is a name I'd imagine a lot of people would have only learned following Atari introducing a lot of Intellivision to people, or ourselves, or potentially Night Stalker or things like that as well. Unless you're really into the scene, you might not know about it. But it's kind of nice, I think, in a way, because it would have been very easy for anybody that owns a catalog to completely and utterly nuke the name, bring it all under their umbrella. And, you know, there is a lot of the marketing there that is sort of like a nod to, look, we own this now. You know, it's been brought to you by Atari. The war has ended, and all of these kind of things. But it's nice that, you know, that exists. The game names exist, you know, for the most part, aside from any copyright changes that are needed in that. So it's quite nice that, you know, it's been given something from, you know, a company that, any company, to be perfectly honest, who could have just done nothing.
Yeah,
I guess as well.
And they went out to BBG to get Shark and Astro Smash and Boulder Dash. So like that was actually not terrible either.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, this isn't secret information because it was published on their Twitter. But the UI, you'll notice, looks very similar to the C64 Mini, Atari Mini, Spectrum, all of those kind of things. They've actually been working on this with Atari and PlayOn, who are distributing it there. So I think certainly when it comes to Boulder Dashing, a lot of those kind of games, there's already a relationship between quite a lot of those companies to bring those there. You know, we've done it ourselves, bringing those games there. So it's one of those really nice things, actually, sometimes when you look at, I mean, the last 2 to 3 weeks alone with what's been going on in the AAA space, the absolute toxicity between fanboyism and everything that's going on. But there's quite a lot of collaboration and you know, agreement with a lot of people to be able to bring things out. Because, you know, how long has it been since we've, well, I mean, it's been ad nauseum that all of these things would work against each other. The fact they're working with each other now is really, really nice.
Right.
I will say in the UK, I'm looking on Amazon, and I'm sure everybody in the chat who's in the UK on the Amazon side will go, don't look at Amazon, Sean, because everybody has their own history of Amazon. But they've got the Sprint at $99.99, but it will be released on December 23rd. Now, I don't know if that's an Amazon December 23rd. But yeah,
that's an interesting.
If you're buying that for a gift, yeah, make sure you're on Prime.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy if the Sprint was cheaper than on Atari's website.
If it was a $79 USD, that's different. But like, I mean, it's
nothing on the US side. That's silly.
Maybe
not
it's
in Canada yet either, but that's nothing new.
Maybe that's an Atari exclusive in your region then, and then obviously because Atari doesn't normally ship to the UK without quite a lot of
we can't get Atari in Canada either. Like, can't buy a VCS out of Canada.
I think that that's turn this into something that's crazy, but I think that hurt Atari on the VCS side. That I had tons of people that come into the channel all the time when I'm talking about Atari VCS games. Like, I'd love to buy one, but I can't. I'm like, oh no.
Hey, look, on Amazon,
the cost of it too.
On Amazon, I can go buy the Intelligent Cartridge 2 for Blaze Evercade for $39 and get it tomorrow.
There you go.
Nice. Like, look
there
at
you
that.
go. Yeah, we got them. We got them over
there.
there.
I just think it's a product that should have been left cooked for a little bit and repriced, I think, to be honest with you.
I mean, well, it seems like the pattern is that Atari loves to put out hardware every year. I mean, this year they had the Pac-Man 2600 plus. So that could have been their one.
That.
That's not even released yet. That's not even out yet.
No, it's not out.
I think you can buy the, because they've had at the various different shows in the States different color versions of the 7800 cart, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Batman. So they got a blue one at P.
The C64 Mini on Amazon Canada, and you know how bad our exchange rate? $87. I can have it tomorrow.
Oh wow,
$87. Like that's a much better collection because, like, you know, you get 64 games, and comparatively speaking, for quality, they're probably on par with the Intelligent game. And that's, you know, I've played them all. I've got them all. Like, you know.
Well, yeah.
So, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, they've totally missed a mark, like, on that completely. And no way Bluetooth is that expensive.
And we've got most of those C64 games on the collection.
On the Evercade. Like, that's what I mean. This strengthens Evercade. Not to blow smoke up your ass, Sean, but it just
I'll take it. Take it. Go away. Go away.
But see, since what is it? What? Oh, since you got Activision on there, I'm no longer allowed to say anything negative about.
That's right.
That's your own words. Your own words.
For a year anyway. I haven't been doing for a while, but no, it's. I never am negative. I'm just constructive. But like, yeah, I'm like, there's no. Yeah. You guys got Cloudy Mountain. It's like,
Yeah.
you guys got the games we wanted. Plus, you put an indie game on there. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm surprised actually about that there isn't anything indie or homebrew.
Yeah, because right now there's more in indie games on Intellivision than there are the original 125.
They're amazing. The work they're doing like on indie on Intellivision is by far, I think, like they're like them and Atari. They're knocking it out of the park. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I mean, because not that Atari own the games that are on Atari Age, but they've been doing a lot of work in helping promote and push a lot of the Atari homebrew. You've seen the videos already this morning from PRGE. The amount of stuff that's on their stand that's homebrew and stuff, all the way up to Jaguar, is pretty awesome. So
yeah, absolutely.
And collection later this year. That's what I would tell people: buy a VSR, buy Activision collection. You'll get better games and have more expandability.
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of the Activision collection, what an adventure that must have been.
What a get!
Tell us about that.
How did that wound up coming together, Sean?
Over a lot of years, to be perfectly honest. That one's been a talk for a long time with Activision, and for the longest time, a lot of the talks or initial talks were getting somewhere, but never getting all the way there. And then, of course, once Microsoft purchased Activision or Acti-Blizz King, you got to wait a long time for all of that to settle before you can get there. And one of the things that's been really, really cool is working with a more centralized approach to licensing from a big company, which you can 100% imagine Microsoft will be that way because of the amount of stuff that they got, and that's been able to allow us to work with them directly, to work with licensing agencies that work on behalf of these companies to be able to bring these things, not just Activision but Rare as well. It's been really, really cool. It's one of those things that once you realize it's happening, it happens pretty quickly. With the exception of going through various different processes to make sure that everybody's happy before we release anything. I think we probably sort of towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, looked absolutely nailed on for it. We had a backup plan if it wasn't, it all came through very, very quickly at that turn of the year, and it was nice.
It's very cool. I mean, what a way to end the year too.
Oh, it's a good end, isn't it? Really. I mean, for you guys, you've got Neo Geo 2 and 3 a little bit earlier than the rest of the world. But I mean, apologies to the rest of the world for that. Slightly unforeseen issue with the carts, but we managed to sort them all out. But yeah, I mean, within a month or a month and a bit, you've got Neo Geo 2, Neo Geo 3. Llamasoft, which is going to be our biggest amount of games on any cart ever, and Activision and Rare. Pretty tasty.
We were talking about that last week. Like in the next 2 months, we've got like 5 carts coming. It's pretty
good Christmas eating.
Yeah, I mean, it really does kind of feel like a season where the retro heavy hitters are coming home. And I actually legitimately have like that feeling. It's like, oh man, I can't wait till these carts come. And then there's minor breaks that I actually do have time to sit down. And these the Activision collection is one I've been waiting for forever. And it's like I'm gonna have it in my hand. It's like I'm like legit excited. It's really cool. And the sneaky one was Rare. As soon as I saw the Rare card, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I realized, oh wait, RC Program's on this card. It's one of my favorite NES games of all time. I'm like, what?
I'm glad you mentioned that, Rich. I want to see more of that. Because I hope we see more of those kind of cards, because you put nostalgia for different cultures, and I think that's awesome. Like, I hope we see more of that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Certainly, when you look at the cultures, Activision is very much America's culture more than probably is Europe, because of the prevalence of the 2600 there versus here, but at the same time,
Mm.
those are the recharged arcade units.
Oh, that's very cool.
That's cool. I literally just saw something about them earlier. Actually, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's on Pulp Fiction. I was playing that the other week in Norway, believe it or not. Yeah, really, really cool machine. Yeah, it's really cool to have something that works in both parts of the world. But Rare, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on Rare that works in both parts of the world as well. You know, Battletoads, RC Pro-Am, you know, Banjo is a great like franchise player. Hopefully we can bring more of that in future. But now we're going to start with Conkers in his debut.
Yeah.
We're going to have those Battletoads in both arcade and console form, which, you know, will please every single game difficulty masochist out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play the console version. I've got too much nightmares of playing that when I was young.
I'm going for it.
No, I want to play that again.
I'm going for it. I watched too much of a video game speedrunner on Twitch.
Dude, yeah.
And
that game and Bayou Billy almost ruined the NES experience for me.
Well, I watched the same guy do Bayou Billy in the Big 20 this year. It just happened like 2 weeks ago.
I got that game for Christmas, and that was my one game for the year. And I got that game, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
man, oh man, I don't know how many times I just like threw the controller down playing that game.
I mean, as a question to you guys, how big did the latter Rare get in America when it comes to their own titles and N64 titles?
Oh my god,
because obviously, yeah, like GoldenEye, obviously for everybody, and you know,
perfect.
Later Nintendo Donkey Kong era was great, but
yeah, Banjo was the breakthrough. Conker's more for like, you know, the people who knew about Conkers, but Banjo was, I'd say, in GoldenEye where they're just breakouts.
In Killer Instinct.
Banjo took the world by storm because it was like, well, North America, because we had Mario 64, right, which paved the way, and then Banjo came and just blew the doors wide open.
Yeah, that was a great game.
And that and GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, those games like put Rare on the map, and then obviously Fable with Xbox to a lesser extent, but
yeah. Well, I mean, and I was a lot of my friends were big fighting game fans, so
Killer Instinct,
KI was huge.
But they got buried by Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter in that era. They didn't get the two they needed, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of those at the time, though, wasn't there? You know, you had Primal Fear, Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, then started making King of Fighters. Yeah.
In North America, a lot of those just got buried by the overwhelming marketing push for Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, right? Like, you remember the marketing push for Mortal Kombat? Like, that dwarfed all other games when they were, and then they had the US, you know,
that was
Puritans down there trying to get it banned, right? So,
and that was the era. If you try to get something banned, then you are guaranteed to sell.
You're going to sell triple copies. But I can remember when Banjo came out. That was the one game I think I finished in 2 sittings. Like, I don't like, and I was in university then, and you know, lots of free time when you're in university, right? I was a computer science guy.
Well, technically, there's lots of free time when you're in university.
So I did my work in the lab and come home and got drunk and played N64, really, or PlayStation. But yeah, I can remember Banjo and Donkey Kong 64. A lot of people had a love-hate relationship with that one on the N64. So Banjo kind of was a better version of that, I found, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But yeah, no, they're great gets. We're really lucky to have them, and really looking forward to seeing everybody enjoying them. Especially the one game that I fought for, which I know for sure Ed is going to dislike.
Oh, 100%. I love that. I love that approach. That's the approach that wins for the mainstream.
Right, you know which one it will be as well. If you look at Activision 1, I bet you would guess which one I think that you aren't going to like.
Activision 1?
Yeah.
I love all those games, or we'll disown them.
No, the Space Shuttle game.
Space Shuttle.
I don't understand
Space Shuttle.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle.
Oh man,
you'll get mad at River Raid 2. You'll get mad at River Raid 2 because that's harder than most people remember.
That's true.
It is actually, yeah.
Ed's pretty good at shooters, so.
Yeah, no, it's good though. I used to play that one, but you're right though. You're right though, Pete. Because of the Activision shooters, I had a copy of River Raid, and then I had a copy of Tropic Command, and
Yeah.
I had like the other space shooters, and I'd wind up playing them more than I play River Raid because I play River Raid and it'd only be like 15-20 minutes before I started running into that wall, and then be like, nah, I'll play something else. But it was such a good game though. It was cool.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to play Space Shuttle again.
I love it. I mean, I had it. I know I've had the pantomime villain character when it comes to Spectrum, but I had the Space Shuttle, the version of the Space Shuttle game on Spectrum. I grew up with that. So the moment it came on the table, I was like, yes, please.
That's awesome. That is very cool.
So, Sean, once you get the license, like for whether it's Rare, Activision, whatever, do you get you have to give a list and then you guys work together with Microsoft or whoever's over there, or or is the whole catalog available for you? Because you could see one of the greatest Activision games in my backdrop. I'm fighting for Frostbite. I'm fighting for like a bunch of like there's so many. There's like 60 like are amazing on Activision, right?
Yeah.
So like what's that process like?
It's an interesting one, and it differs from company to company. You know, we've worked with companies that have a full direct catalog. You just choose what you want from it. We try to get as much as we can from it and spread it out across as many collections as make sense to do so that we can bring as much from that. It's sometimes unsure about what games are in the catalog or what versions and what works. So we do have to do checks with that, to make sure, especially on arcade, how hard the arcade is to emulate properly, how it is to work, what kind of concessions need to be made because of licensing. Do we need to pull out music? Do we need to pull out a certain brand or any of those kind of things? But yeah, more often than not, a catalog's presented and we pick and choose what we want. I mean, in the case of Activision, we did announce there was more coming.
Yeah.
So there will be more. What we sort of noticed, and we sort of had this from the experience of doing the Atari collections at the start and also the Intellivision collections, is there are certain cases and spaces for games and sports games which probably haven't aged that well, but don't really work in a single player experience as well. And, Evercade is 2-player for the most part on VS and stuff like that, but we know a lot of people are actually more playing as a single player element than they are any other way. So we kind of looked at the list of the games and across all of our things, we go, right, well, if that's going to provide a particularly poor experience for the user when they're playing it, they're not going to enjoy it as much as they would do in its full form, but there's something else there we can use and we'll move it around. So there will be probably a few sports titles from the Activision catalog that a few people will may be sad that they may not be there. There might be some with some licensing that can't be there, but for the most part, I think we got as relatively complete catalog as we could get.
Activision sports games are the best sports games on Atari. I can tell you that right now.
That is true.
They're the most playable, most fun. Activision in general didn't make I can count on like 3 fingers their bad games. Probably not even. They're not even bad by Ed standards. Probably even Ed would probably find something to like about them. But they just knew what they were doing with that hardware because, they were ex-Atari guys, right?
Yeah.
They formed that company out of Atari. So
and they were some of the best Atari guys.
Yeah.
I
wish I could have afforded back in the day the Activision games. Like we used to trade around my village, so everybody would buy different Activision or Atari games, so we all could trade amongst us. Like it was so fun, like Enduro and Pitfall and Demon Attack. Oh my gosh! Like this, like I can remember me and Rich's first ever Evercast.
Yeah,
we said we want Activision. Like we want that. Like if we ever got Activision, we'd be over the moon. And it's like, well, you know what? Job's done. We're good.
Yeah. Got there in the end.
That's right.
That's but right. If you ever come out with Rare 2 and you drop like a Banjo or a Perfect Dark or a Conker's Bad Fur Day, which might probably, I don't know, might have licensing issues with Nintendo, but because, but if you drop one of those, and I mean, dude, everybody in the retro community and mainstream community will pick up that, because when's the last time you heard Banjo being released anywhere?
That's true.
I can tell you the answer to that. Banjo's been released twice in the last 10 years. One of them by Rare themselves on
Under Rare
Rare
Collection?
Replay. Yeah, on
Yeah.
Rare Replay.
Mm.
And then it appeared most recently on Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh, that's right.
Both closed ecosystems on console where there's not a huge retro audience like on those consoles. They're there for the new games, not in an ecosystem that's built from the ground up for
Yeah,
For retro, yeah.
millions of
It's-
people like us.
Yeah, it's quite funny with Rare. Like one of the this was 10 years ago to the day when we announced Rare Collection 1. 10 years ago, I was in Cologne for Gamescom as a journalist, and I went to a Microsoft event, and underneath our seat to celebrate the release of Everything Happening was a copy of Rare Replay
Nice.
for everybody. So, and then I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, that was the 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm old.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the community we're in. We're all you don't see too many 15-year-olds in our community, do you?
That's true. That is true.
But you know,
That is
we're
true.
adding people every decade. We're adding the next level, right? Like,
Yep.
pretty soon it's going to be run by. Remember when my PS3? That's all it's going to be. PS3 and Xbox 360. That's going to be retro in 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, by some measures, they already are, and you know,
Yeah, of
we
course.
don't talk about that. But yeah, no,
we
it's,
get in so many debates about what retro is. No, there's no
Yeah.
answer.
but no, it's really cool to see everybody really excited for it. And you're right, it is retro is a growing space, and it's continuing to grow. And it's not just retro games. I mean, you said it before, like the back end of this year is pretty mad, and it's not just us. You know, Q4 has always been the time for anything like this, especially
everybody's hitting
anything
their
physical.
budgets, right? I know.
Yeah,
like,
and
you know what I
Yeah.
know around that, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Here you go. This is retro. Okay.
that is retro.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all you need is the smell of cigarette smoke.
Those are going to have little cigarette little bits, you know, the little metal bits that you used to be able to put your cigarette
Oh yeah, on
don't
the
they?
side. Yeah.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah.
We have an arcade here in town, about 10-minute drive from here. They built cup holders for your because you can drink in there for your beer.
Mm.
But all the old machines still have that little cigarette holder.
Yeah,
a
but
lot of them.
you go to Japan, you see that quite a lot as well.
And you can still smoke probably
Yeah.
in the ones in Japan.
Yeah, smoking's weird in Japan actually. I think
It
you
is
can
so
do in
weird,
some, but
dude.
yeah.
So weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hey, it's a cigarette tab.
So
that's awesome.
You got one of those at Fun Spot in
So
Laconia.
Sean, I gotta ask this question
Mm.
because you guys we always debate. We have some very healthy debates on this show about you guys' intent for your collections, right?
I enjoy
get
them.
it.
I mean,
We're
I sometimes see them live. Most of the time, I see them on a Monday.
Yeah,
morning.
but like we got to keep checking ourselves, right? Because there's another great Evercast podcast that really I think covers a lot of the European side and that side of the world. We're kind of more North America focused, right? Where we know our business when it comes to retro over here. Like it must be challenging for you guys to decide what collections and how to curate them, because you're trying to serve two kind of very distinct retro audience. Because you said it yourself, there's not a lot of crossover outside of mainstream Nintendo games and stuff like that, right? But like when we're talking like Atari and television, Spectrum, Commodore 64, they're very distinct. The fan bases for globally on that. Like what's that like for you guys?
It requires quite a lot of research, to be perfectly honest, and not just on our end to know a what's available and what it is and everything else. I mean, for the most part, you know, Atari has been pretty good as a global brand at pushing their own stuff across lots of different things over many years. So it is in our purview, but the sort of like the history of some games and how big those games got doesn't necessarily always hit in Europe in the same way, like you say. So, but you know, it's been so many years, it's been very well documented, and there's been so many opinions, and it's one of those weird things that, you know, if you were to look at an opinion on something nowadays and compare it to what people's opinions would have been formed 10, 20, 30 years ago, it will be a bit more diverse. But for the most part, most people tend to agree on the things that are good. And, you know, if you look at a top 10, top 20, top 30 Atari games, you can pretty much guarantee that probably, you know, that top 10 will include adventure from anybody. It would include possibly Haunted House. It would probably include a version of Asteroids, a version of Centipede, a version of Millipede, a version of Missile Command. And that's one of those things that, not just because, the licenses had changed hands or all of those kind of things, or that they were tie-in properties or anything else, but because those were the games that were built with the most thought for the system in mind, because they were built by the people building the systems, much like a lot of Sega games, run great on Sega consoles. Like Panzer Dragoon, for example, on Saturn is a phenomenal game. Could you do that game as a third party on Saturn? Who knows? But they did it incredibly well. And you look at those Activision games, and then you look at the Atari games that came before that, and you go, right, well, those guys did really, really well with the hardware because they knew it. They just knew it so well. And then the other thing that kind of really hit here in a very large way was the 80s pop culture just resurfaced. And it wasn't our 80s pop culture, because I don't know. I mean, for anybody that's in America, what you need to do is Google Top of the Pops 2 or put Top of the Pops 2 into YouTube, and you'll see video clips of a British pop show called Top of the Pops. They'll have clips through the 80s, and you can look through the best of the 80s music. But what they'll often do is intersperse it with news and clips from the news and stuff like that. So while we had this really cool neon space agey kind of looking stuff on the TV, Britain itself was pretty grim. It was pretty brown, pretty grey, a lot of bad stuff happening, and I'm sure it was the same everywhere.
You guys were in recession.
Yeah,
the economy was shits.
Yeah, exactly. So our 80s culture isn't that memorable at all for us. But
your 80s culture is really reminiscent of North America's 70s culture. Doom and gloom, everything was closing, and then 80s it just skyrocketed over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, because the export of 80s culture from America, I think, Stranger Things, Ready Player One, all of those kind of things have really helped inform a populace that sort of half knew and gave them the impetus to discover more. And, how many of the people know more about Atari from Ready Player One than they did before? Probably a lot.
Oh, 100%.
Awful lot.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that guy who wrote that was Ed, what's his name?
Klein. He
is the biggest nerd I've ever seen. I've watched a couple of videos of him. Like, he makes his own Ghostbuster stuff and Back to the Future stuff, and like, he's crazy nerd.
One of the only people to non-ironically own a DeLorean. I mean,
yeah, he has two.
Yeah.
I think he brought it
anyway. No, it's cool to understand that, because like the cultures are so different. But you're right, good games usually transcend, right? And that's what I love about the Evercade, and I know some people don't like about it, but I had no idea about Dizzy, for example. That never really, like, Crow might have heard a little bit about it, and I don't remember back in the day, but that never ever resonated in North America.
I have heard of it. We had a couple of Dizzy games, but they were only on the NES.
Yeah, but like Evercade introduced that whole group of games, like, to a lot of people too, right? Like,
and do you know what's insane? On one of the homebrews that's at PRGE right now, on the Jaguar, is Fantastic World Dizzy. It's there on the stand, available to buy.
No,
and that it's not. I've never seen that here.
That's crazy.
Like that.
Yeah, the homebrew community in North America is off the charts. I gotta ask you a question. I'm sorry, I'm asking all the questions, but new Terminator's coming out. That the new trailer that you just launched is unbelievable. I wasn't expecting to be so fully featured. I don't know if you can answer this. Maybe I should just ask Ryan. Is that even possible to run on the Evercade? Do you know?
I don't know whether it's impossible.
Right.
Because one of the things with the stuff and the engine that the guys use, as you know, we've worked with bringing stuff that they've ported to other consoles in the past. With Xenocrisis, they have ported various minigames to various other consoles that we can now emulate. But most of the time on that, those games are sort of made, unless they're made in Unity or something that's a proprietary engine, it's a lot easier to run them on another platform, like a Linux platform or something like that. I mean, there are a lot of devices out there now that you can buy that have ports. that are modern retro indie games or retro looking indie games that you get built into these systems, and they're designed to work with those ports. So I wouldn't say it's impossible. I think a lot of work would have to happen to optimize it to make sure it runs properly, because like you say, it's one of those things that looks like it's quite simple until you dig a little bit deeper into it. You go, whoa.
I did. I looked into it, and based on some of the connections I have, it is a very modern game wrapped up in a very old look, like a 16-bit look. But under the hood, that game is pumping some serious stuff going on. It's pretty, like, I even looking at the trailer, and I'm like, now I get it. It's like, I get the price point now also, because it probably is their most expensive game they developed.
And price point is such a weird one as well, because you got to factor in the fact that it's got a big old license on it for starters, you know.
And that's, that's 5% off the off the top. That's usually at a minimum 5% off the top.
It's really, really interesting to see how pricing is working on games at the moment, because you know, everybody is assuming one thing, and then games like Hollow Knight Silksong come out and absolutely smash that.
Right.
But you know, everybody within the industry was saying that's a bit too low. You could charge more. And that wasn't you could charge more to make more money. That was you should charge more, because what you're doing is making everybody unable to reach the price point that you can, because of your flexibility in how you're able to produce and then price it, because you know you're going to sell that many units because of how many people have been waiting for it, and they've probably made their money back in Game Pass deals and everything else before they'd even started a lot of this, so it makes it harder for other people that cannot get their price point below $24.99, $29.99 or something like that to actually justify their price point. And it makes it trickier.
That's what I always say.
I mean, it's great that they did it, and it's incredible, and I'm sure it made them as much money as they would have done if they'd had it at 24. I mean, there'd be a great amount of people that I'm sure would have gone, I'll get it once it dips. Get it on the wish list and get it once it dips. But yeah, I mean,
that's the thing, right? Sometimes developers publishers developers don't have control of their price point. It's publishers, if they've got a publisher, right? Unless you're indie, you have control over that. But sometimes we don't really support each other a lot of times with pricing, or on we undercut each other sometimes. And then, I don't want to go into too much details, but a game came out that was so undervalued for what it delivered about a year and a half ago. It really put us in a position where our price, we had no flexibility, and it really damaged our ability to sell through. So totally get what you're saying there. It's sometimes I wish we were more caring as a group in the gaming industry.
There's something that came up very, very recently on British, is that there's a lot of work with us with the UK government and stuff like that as a games industry in Britain for tax breaks and all of those kind of things. Yeah, but the government actually fed back to the gaming industry that we are a bit of a problem for them, in that we're not as collaborative or as talkative as other industries, as like the gaming industry compared to, say, like, the cement industry or anything else. All of these people are all in the same game and they know each other, and they, they're not aggressively competitive to monopolize themselves or anything else like that. And the gaming industry isn't either, but it's full of secrets, it's full of NDAs, it's full of a lot of different things, and you really can't have the open and frank conversations or the workings together that isn't in some way singularly motivated towards what you or your company or investor wants to achieve, because a lot of it is VC. So it was quite an interesting point. More collaboration would probably mean better product, potentially, certainly better sharing of knowledge and talent, and definitely, hopefully, better pricing for everybody overall. How far away we are from that, with everything being sold up to everybody in a nice private little bow, I don't know, but we'll have to see how that goes going forward. But then you look at to bring it back to Q4 this year, My Arcade are working with Atari, and they've done a really, really great product that, as far as I I've heard has done really, really well out there in the States with the Game Station Go.
Mm.
Atari have been working, with us with the Super Pocket and the collection that we released earlier this year. And, that still continues to be stocked on Atari.com. They've been working with PlayOn, who are our distributor in the UK and in Europe, to release this in television sprint. We've worked with PlayOn to work with different things. We're incredibly collaborative as a part of the industry.
Yeah, it's the devs and the publishers, because it's such a cutthroat space for the dollar, for the consumer's dollar, and you, to your point, like NDAs and stuff. It's like I wish I could go talk to another executive producer and just have a really good chat about their intent, how they're going to market, what their product pillars are, and all that kind of stuff. But no,
I mean, you just got to do it in a concrete bunker when nobody can see.
You got to do it while you're drunk at an indie event.
I just not be papped at the bar. Yeah.
I have another question for you, unless other people have questions. Somebody mentioned it today. It's like, have you guys ever entertained that you would come out and say, hey, we're going to release X collection, and there's spots on it for community recommendations, and just say Activision collection, we have 10 spots, and we got a choice between these 8 for the final 2. Vote, for example. Like, have you ever thought about doing that to engage the community?
Not with a big license like Activision, for example. And I think one of the main reasons for that is contractual, that we have to very, very specifically specify what we're putting on each thing with them. But we have toyed with the idea when it comes to indie and seeing how we could work with putting indie heroes into that kind of thing, if there's certain things that are available to us, and giving people maybe choice of what we could do with either Game of the Month or Highlight of the Month or whatever feature that we have in that. So it's been discussed. I don't think it's ever really got too far into it yet. I mean, it's something we probably couldn't have done a few years ago, because if you're going to license 8 games, for example, you're still going to need to publish those 8 games because you've paid for them. Yeah. So eventually you will do it. So you might as well just put them all out. Nowadays we might be in a better position where we could stagger it a bit more and then just have the community vote and just go, which one do you want? Which one do you want? Which one do you want? And let them choose which one comes next. It does mean we have to give everybody a lot of cash up front in order to make sure that goes there. But yeah, it's something we sort of have entertained, but not fully entertained, but definitely something we would look at.
Very cool.
And yes, I've heard about that WrestleFest collection. In fact, I might have been one of the first people in the gaming industry to see that collection even existed, because it was at Toy Fair in the UK.
Oh, wow.
But it was not at that point anything more than a box, which means, missing characters and all those kind of things weren't known, and a lot of different things. I'm shocked it's out, to be perfectly honest. I'm shocked that they managed to get the license at all. I'm shocked that they've released it so quickly. But all power to them. It's another new player in that market, in that more 3/4 full size market. It seems that, like most of these things, it's very subjective as to what people like. It does seem overall as the company doing it has had a bit more hits than they have had misses with them. Certainly, I think the Atari ones and that were pretty well received by some reviewers. So, yeah, interesting times on that.
Yeah.
So I do have to ask, with the shirt that I'm wearing, anything you could tell us? Have you all been in talks with Konami? Like anything about that? TurboGrafx? Anything? Have you guys tried to go after them? I have to ask.
Well, we always try to keep the communications avenues open. So, Japan it's a tough nut to crack, not just because of money or licenses or individual company policies around how they handle licenses and various different things. For example, Konami might be one of those companies where you couldn't do a Konami collection, for example, but you could do a Contra collection if you get the right deal at the right time in front of the right person. Because we've had, I say quite the turn, but the ability to work with Microsoft and get the Activision carts in, and bring Rare into the equation now as well. We haven't had to look very strongly at Japanese publishers for a good 6 to 8 months, but we keep those channels open. We meet the people that are responsible for them as and when we can. We do go to Japan to go and meet the people. We try not to do it at Tokyo Game Show because everybody wants to do that. So we'll go on our own and, you know, make a more dedicated view of it. And that's the same with anybody that does licensing, really. Pretty much everybody in our sphere will fly to Japan every year to year and a half, reacquaint themselves, say hello, see where everybody's at, really. So on Konami specifically, and most Japanese publishers that you haven't seen, it's kind of where we're at the moment. Would be lovely to organize something for 2027, but we shall see.
So can you, speaking of Japan and the Japanese market, I mean, you guys have been reaching out to put your products out there in that space. Can you speak?
Well, sorry, yeah, no, finish your question. I'll explain my shit in a minute.
Okay, can you speak to how that adventure's going, or?
Well, we don't actually have our products out there for sale from ourselves. A lot of our contracts prevent Japan and a lot of the Eastern countries from publishing stuff because it's such a weird, different type of legality and everything else there. But they can import, and you are right. There is a lot of Japanese people, and Korean people, and Indonesian people since Neo Geo and a few of those names have come out that have started importing the consoles, and we've seen a bit more on them. And we do try to help where we can. You know, if there's somebody there that wants something for a review, who's a big YouTuber that's got an influence with the region, you know, we'll always try to assist. We make it very clear we don't sell in those regions, but like I say, through Play Asia or through anybody else or through Funstock, these things can be imported. So it's nice to see that a lot of that work happening there of our name and the consoles and everything else is kind of happening organically. To a degree, which is lovely. That's the reason why I sort of switched, because we're not actively doing it, but it's kind of there. The only thing I've actively done is I've sent some Evercade alphas to a YouTuber called Chris Broad, who has a YouTube channel called Abroad in Japan.
Yeah, I watch him. He's hilarious and annoying.
So he's got a bar out in Shibuya called Lost Bar, and if you look at the videos of that, you'll see a My Arcade Pac-Man machine in there, a little quartercade. So he's had one of our products before because through friend of a friend, I have a contact with him and that outfit, and he got a pocket, a Capcom pocket, I think a couple of years ago, and I floated the idea of the arcade machines and say, do you want these for your bar? And they went, yeah, sure. So I did. I put them in. I opened them up. I put a jiffy bag with a couple of carts in there as well and stuff like that, and sent them on their merry way. And then midway through a podcast that my mate was doing with him, the police turned up at the door not long after these things had arrived, and it was the drug police. And he wasn't sure what had been arrived, and sort of looked at these machines that his mate had organised to send him, and it's like, "What have you sent me? Why are they here? What's going on?" And it turns out it wasn't for that eventually. They just wanted to put some cameras up, and there'd been some things in the area. But it was that moment of when I heard about that, it's like, oh yeah, I put stuff in jiffy bags in there, didn't I? that could be misconstrued.
That's pretty wild.
That's cool, it's good. It's good that we're getting out there a little bit more, and you know, I think. I mean, we'll probably come on to sort of where we're looking at over the next 2 years anyway, as we talk. But, you know, it would be nice to have a bit more of an active presence in people's minds in Japan, but, you know, see what happens.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Well, sometimes it's the community, right, that can drive that. You know,
definitely.
Turn things around.
And I don't know if we've said about it before, but Japan has some very stringent laws on piracy. Very, very stringent laws on piracy, which us as a product are actually very, very good with. Certainly compared to other products that are there on the market, because, you know, we don't allow people to modify and to do all of those things. And, you know, there isn't a grey area of any of our stuff because it's all legally licensed. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Phantom has a good question.
Yeah.
That's a great one for you.
Well, are devs or license holders clamoring to Blaze to have their stuff put on Evercade? I mean, clamoring is optimistic. But yes, we are being approached, and we are being approached with ideas from license holders, and we are presenting ideas to license holders that we've worked with before and lots of different things. So one of the things that I've sort of discovered recently through different things is, you know, that we've built up quite a nice reputation, and that's mainly come from you guys. You know, the community, the fans, the podcasters, the people that bought the product, played the product, because all you've said about it is it's great, it fills a need, we love physical, and the quality of the product is really, really good. And that's resonated with all of these people. Everything that review has done has resonated with all of these people. So people are coming to us because they have a trust that we can deliver stuff that, well, you know, there's nothing to worry about. There's no legal issues. There's no going to be quality issues that could make a bad publicity or anything else like that. So it's really cool to see that actually how the fans of the communities and the growing communities have really taken to us has really then helped those devs and licensors want to come to us. I mean, we always had quite a good amount of indie devs wanted to come to us who, you know, have games that they want to put on devices, you know, and we have to go through different things, test them, see whether they're viable, all of that kind of stuff, see whether there's enough of a game there and all those kind of things, because it comes from lots of different projects. And that's always kind of bubbled on in the background. But yeah, no, larger people are coming to us now, and it's lovely. It's lovely. But it doesn't stop us going out and then going and sending a pitch wildly off base, you know, because, you know, we can.
Yeah, I mean, because why not, right?
I got a question for you. So you can, we've been wondering, like for Evercade, you have like the VS, the EXP, the Alpha, and you got this adjacent pocket, you know, little, you know, subset of Evercade's brand with Hyper Megatech. Where's your people playing? Where's your customers playing? What's the most I don't need sales numbers or anything like that. I don't want that. But where's everybody playing at? Is it the VS, the XP, or do you even have that analytical data?
I could give you some data actually.
Yeah.
So last year we announced that we'd sold 1 million cards.
Yeah.
That's closer to 1.5 mil now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is great. What we found, hey Grow, I was looking through the Mega Drive games he was showing at the time as well. Yeah, we found that handheld is best in general as a form factor. You know, we've seen a lot more people that are playing handheld, and I think that mirrors the world of gaming in general. To be perfectly honest, so the majority of our people are there. And I think from our own, yes, I was going to talk to you about that later.
Oh my God, dude. I didn't sleep last night because I was having way too much fun doing stuff.
I wouldn't have slept last night because I've just reapplied for a mortgage, and that looks very far off in the distance.
Stop it. Mine is next summer.
But no, we handheld is definitely best, and I think there's a good split between the different pockets and what people have got. But what we've really done, and I think we said this at the time about where these brands are aimed, which is kind of what helps, you know. There is always going to be a certain ceiling of where you can get to without plowing loads and loads of money into marketing and advertising with the Evercade product.
Buying clicks, right?
Yeah. But the one thing that actually sells products more than that is having access to them. And that's why we've worked really, really hard over the last 8 to 12 months on distribution. Yeah. So I know it's been a massive, massive pain for a lot of people in America, partially through and Canada, partially through no faults of our own. And we've come out of it the other side, and we're beginning to get there probably a lot later than we wanted to. the beginning of this year, we said this is the year we break America. The beginning of next year, we're going to say this is the year we break America. You know, we just keep going on.
So no more blue cards, in other words.
No disrespect to Europe and the rest of the world and Canada, and I'm as Canadians you're going to get. Like, I am very patriotic, but the American market matters. They're the one market in gaming that matters.
Yeah.
Because the other big markets are so gray, and you can't, like Russia and China, and they're so gray for revenue. It's the U.S. It has always been the U.S.
And especially on physical products, because
100%.
regardless of what's happening across the Reddit fanboy forums of games disappearing from Walmart and Target and everything else, you need to get into a Walmart and a Target and a GameStop and all of those kind of things.
You gotta see it.
Yeah.
It's much harder to say no when it's in your face.
Yeah,
that's right.
And Evercade is always going to naturally gravitate to somebody that's more into the scene. It's always going to, because it's a physical cartridge system. It's got the look of a little bit of a more techie thing and stuff like that. So that console is always going to be more for the connoisseur, the Winnie the Pooh meme with the with the monocle. And that's no disrespect to anybody who's a fan of the Super Pockets. The Super Pockets are great, but the keychains, all of those kind of things, those were thought of as, how do we get into a price point that we can get into those stores?
Yeah, market
penetration. And that, I mean, obviously, everything I've said to you guys over the last 2 years when it comes to what we want to do with these products, everything else is true. But you have to, as marketing into a product, make a product that fits into the space that's going to make the most thing. And we've now got a very healthy line of those products and we now got a very good, healthy relationship with distribution within the United States that will begin to grow even more as we go through the next 2 years. It makes our time a lot better because it means that we're not handling everything ourselves directly, which, you know, has caused a few pain points as we've gone through for you guys as the consumers. And again, it's not something we really expected or thought would happen. So we can only really apologize for how it's been a bit trickier for you guys over there to get stuff and costs and everything else. You know, perfect world, we wouldn't have to do any of these kind of things, would we? But yeah, it's when it comes to how the people are playing, it is handheld. The VS is great, the Alpha is great, and you know the Alphas themselves are a really, really cool way of playing a lot of this stuff. But we're not going to release the Alpha, for example, to compete with full-size arcade machines out in the States, because that's a United States specific thing. And this time last year, I think I was here, or I was on Michael B and P Dubs' podcast and a few others. And, you know, we quite plainly said, you know, if there's a market demand for it, we'll look at it. But that's a very sewn up part of the market, and a part of the market that's changed over time, because, you know, Costco and companies like that sell less of those kind of size products because of, for whatever reason, whether it was license saturation, product saturation, whether it was just too expensive for people to get at the time, who knows? But, you know, the Super Pockets, the EXP, I mean, the VS to an extent does do it as well, but we've always kind of found and thought that the VS is a response to how people want to, like, almost migrate from handheld, how they want to have a different experience, but they will always start at the handheld experience. So yeah, definitely more handheld is how more people play. And you know, there's loads of people that will do some facts and figures and stuff and that. I said on our Discord a little while ago, and we said elsewhere as well, that we did a market survey at the earlier part of this year, and we would share some data on that eventually, and we want to share it into very nice little infographics that we can put everywhere. So we want to get there for that. But one of those things that market survey has done is just really nailed down. And I mean, if anybody's ever done a market survey themselves, either as a study or at work or anything else, 9 times out of 10 it tells you what you think you already know, and then the 1 time out of 10 it will tell you something that you didn't know. So for us, did kind of tell us what we already knew and what we were saying, which is we know who our target customer is. We know the demographic. We know that the demographic buys a lot of stuff, not just exclusively us, and that is not a problem for them. You know, they will double, triple dip into different things. I'll buy lots of other things. It's all very complementary as a space. And then the one that I really enjoyed was the cost price of how much people are willing to pay for games. So the majority of people would pay over $30 for a retro game physically. Same majority of people would pay only up to $10 for one digitally. And I found that to be, I didn't expect it to be as extremely different, but the demographic of our products and, you know, you guys and everything else, you know, we will buy these things digitally if they're cheap enough. And that's the thing that I started thinking about is, yeah, well, I'd pick it up digitally if it was on sale or this, that, and the other. But if I'm going to buy it physically, I don't mind paying the full price because I want to get the thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with the handhelds. I think it's the same with everything else, you know, because it is all physical rather than digital. We've never really had that complaint against, you know, things being available elsewhere, aside from the obvious point of crime, which has always been there in piracy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's some cool info.
Nice.
Yeah. Little marketing nugget for you there.
Yeah.
Oh, will we be getting dip switches this year for Neo Geo? I have to ask.
I don't know.
That's a Ryan question.
It is a Ryan question. I know it's being investigated and worked on.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Because that was my only disappointing thing. Because like sometimes you like Magician Lord lower the difficulty. Or like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, what I will say is obviously we are looking into that, and we have said about that. It's different to how dip switches work on the other games anyway, because of the way that those games were built and made, and that's why it's a little bit difficult for us to do it. And we've got to make sure, as a thing, it works across everything, because much like the other dip switches, it's per game, and the options are per game, so they'll take a lot of time to sort of get through. But if once we do bring it, I think the plan is that we would bring that along with some other features that would bring even more quality of life to that kind of thing as well. So,
ooh.
Hopefully,
maybe stuff in the UniBIOS that you can do. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Maybe stuff like.
Well, I mean, you can speculate.
Yeah. I've got to run soon, so I've got to ask this question. 2026, probably 2025, one of your best years ever, especially Activision and Rare.
Yeah,
Neo Geo, best year ever for carts, in my opinion. What's your theme for 2026?
Well, 2026 isn't too bad either. And
we don't know.
I mean, I know.
We have to trust you.
Let me. I know we say this every time, and
Spectrum everywhere.
It's true all the time. But you know, we really, really, really want to bring Manic Miner in every version. No,
it just sinks in his.
No, 2026 is sewn up. It's done. It looks good, and one of the things that you've probably noticed with our patterns is year on, year off when it comes to carts. And that's not to say that we don't focus on everything else. Of course we do. The main focus on anything when we go to hardware is always going to be Q4, because that's going to be the best time to release it and do all those things. It is no coincidence that I say we want to break America next year, and we want to make more of a play in there, because we're now in a space that this year we've not done new hardware. We've released hardware, but we've not done extensively new or a lot of changes or anything else. We've sort of iterated on the themes, on the platforms and stuff like that. And that's given us a great base that we've got a massive load of product that we can get into places next year to sell more of these cards. And next year, you may well see me in your time zone a lot more at various different shows and doing various different things. But what that means is that we are far ahead of where we probably would have ever been in a couple of years ago, because as a company, we're growing, we're maturing, we're doing all those things, trying not to lose sight of the whole being a reluctant adult part of life, you know, when it comes to these kind of stuff, because you have to. But you know, we're not a giant corporate juggernaut, but we are a serious concern within this space now. And the way we've structured our business over the next 2 years following this year reflects that. So yeah, 2026 looks good. I think there's going to be, much like this year, there's going to be something for everyone. I think because we've been focusing a lot more on getting the product into the right places to get onto the right shelves, there will be a slight lower focus on indie than there has been. But we had a really, really big indie year last year in 2024. There was a lot of indie in that. So when we come to this year, you know, there's been a small bit with Indie Heroes at the start of the year. There is more coming next year, and we're always looking into what we do to refresh Indie Heroes, Game of the Month, Highlight of the Month, and all those things. So those are the things that probably that are more in flux than anything else. But on cart releases, licenses, other plans, we're already planning into 2027 of what we do after that. But obviously there's a lot of work to do to make sure that 2026 is delivered to you and you guys have a great time, and that we don't lose all the rest of our hair trying to make that happen.
Awesome.
Can you tell us how many carts you're going to release next year?
So we will always at least release 12. And the pattern is always going to stay the same, 2 every 2 months. It's a cool pattern. It's one that you guys are reliant upon. You know, it keeps us fresh in everybody's mind, even if it's a game or a thing that people aren't necessarily into, or if somebody's discovering. So yeah, it's always going to be at a minimum 12. If there are things that come in late that we could potentially work into something, then we will do. Obviously that will end up more towards the end of the year, of course, and it'd be there, but it would have to be something absolutely stellar to knock in that, you know. So if not, then it would certainly fall into 2027.
Oh, I know what I have to ask you is people always ask this because like legacy carts like that always like comes up like, so like what I love about Evercade, and I always say I'm conflicted with that because I love if you're into the ecosystem, you get rewarded for, you know, having the carts and getting them on. At the same time, it's really unfortunate for somebody who like wants to play Technos, but they want to pay $400, which is ridiculous. I was wondering if you guys like thought about like, hey, maybe we could re-release Technos, remove the games that let's say that are problematic with licenses, replace those with other games and call it like a greatest hits or something, or just like, you know, I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of different thoughts and ideas, not just on legacy carts, but also on things that aren't presently available, how we can make them available again in future, but in a way that is new and is rewarding and not just re-releasing old stuff for everybody. Again, you're probably not going to see that next year. You're more likely to see it the following year as we go into those kind of things. But that's not to say that legacy carts can't come back in the way that you said, with anything that is a necessary change made when it comes to the games and the licenses. But yeah, something we're looking into. May well have something soon. Who knows?
Like the Techno Super Pocket. I'm like, well, why couldn't that be a cart? Like at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just it's never just on our end that is as well. You know, it's also on the licensor end of what they want to do and what they're available to do and what they want to do. And those first 10 carts are always going to be a slight issue for everybody because the amount that we produce, because of the size of the market we were at the time and everything else. And you know, I know everybody screams about the Namco collections, but everybody forgets that the Namco collections were not actually available in America at all anyway.
Right,
they were European exclusive, so you know the numbers of those collections are based on the market it was intended for. So yeah, I mean, there's always the things that we try to do. You know, like I say, we're always chatting with these publishers and developers and license holders to see what we can do, and then also as well where we've got restrictions and where we've got things that we can't necessarily do within a cartridge sphere or cartridge ecosystem, we'll always try to see how we can innovate around that and bring something new and interesting. The keychains are a really fun experiment in that. You know, to you guys, they're not new as a thing. You know, they're quite a regular product and they've been out for a while with other companies. Not so much in Europe. So yeah, we try to we try to innovate in that space, even though it's not that innovative of a thing. But we'd like to think, and I'm sure there will be some coming your way soon in the States for sale. We like to see that we make good products out of what that is. So even if it's not that innovative, that we feel like we're pretty definitive. But yeah, like when it comes to all those things and try and bring stuff back, if we can't bring stuff directly to Evercade or to carts or to Hyper Mega Tech in the way that it is now, we'll always try and find some new ways to bring other stuff.
Well, if you do a Tetris keychain and it's a good version of Tetris, then I would maybe have to buy that.
John, I have to say goodbye. It was great having you on the show, but I've got to drop out. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, no, good speech, you man. We'll have to chat about your
Yes.
LIX.
All right, later, guys.
Catch you later.
All right, see you, Pete.
Later.
Oh,
And there were 3.
yeah. Well, now they're 5.
Doubled.
Yes, I'm being invaded. So
That's happened a lot lately.
Hi.
yes, yes. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I know everybody's got the wish list. We got the wish list, and we're trying to do more as we can. We know the keychains are a different proposition compared to what's out there on the market. But like I say, the American market, we want to try and get into stores with something that was familiar to them as well, which, these keychains are. They're not that available in Europe. So, it gives us another opportunity to bring some more there. And, if these things are good, then we can make some more of them. If they are not that popular, we can go back to the drawing board. It's not as much of a risk, for example, as making 10,000 carts of something that nobody wants.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Does the Neo Geo license, does that also include potentially like the Super Pocket colors or even like their older catalog, like that aren't like Neo Geo games? Like, could you have access? Or is it like just strictly like Neo Geo arcade? Yeah, like what Rich is holding. Yeah.
At the moment, we're focusing on Neo Geo as the platform. I believe we'll probably end up in discussions at some point about what else we can do with SNK. They've been a great partner. They've been really, really awesome. So yeah, if there's more stuff that they want to work with us on and they're happy with what we've done, then who knows?
You're focusing on arcade. I have to, because I always kind of theorize that arcade is like your best selling carts. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, or at least they're high. At least they're high selling, because I feel like arcade is the one thing that no matter where you come from in a retro gaming culture, everybody's played like arcade, like it's at some point, more so than anything else, because they were everywhere, right? We had access to it. So
yeah, I mean, arcade is, if not best selling, then certainly one of the strongest draws. It always will be, because arcade is so out there. But then, much like consoles, you can have a lot of different arcade that people know and people don't know. That it's interesting. At the same time, we've brought out loads of PlayStation games, but people didn't even know we could do it en masse until we announced Tomb Raider and Legacy of Kain. So I think not just the platform, it's the name quite a lot that does that as well. So what we did with the arcade stuff is we got some big names that we could, which got it in, and that's got bigger and bigger and bigger. But then at the same time, we bought the Galco collections, and you guys knew nothing about them apart from maybe one or two that Atari might have imported. Yeah. They're some of our strongest sellers, and they brought in a really, really passionate group of Spanish fans who, like you, now podcast. I don't know if you saw earlier this year, but the Spanish podcasting group actually hosted an Evercade stand at the Retro Barcelona show, along in comparison with our distributor there and a few other things. And they were there, and they had all the products out there, and they were helping to explain it to the Spanish people. And that wouldn't have happened, certainly in that regard, if we hadn't have released those two Galco collections. So what somebody doesn't know is going to be somebody's gold. I mean, there's always going to be a lot of things that either had been released or re-released or recently released, that will possibly be available for us in future. I mean, I know, Rich, you get a lot of the Polymaker stuff.
Yeah.
When you've seen their their collections and what they've got. They've got quite a lot of games that we haven't got yet. They've also released quite a lot of games that we have got.
Yes, that's true.
Kind of the way it happens, really.
Yeah.
This is big, yeah.
That's a big stack there. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about those, which I like, is they look a lot more like the European PlayStation cases.
Yeah.
Which is big and bulky and annoying to put on a shelf. But they've got that real PS2 kind of look, haven't they? The kind of black and white kind of thing on there, which is kind of cool.
I kind of liken them to like in the movie sphere, like movie collection sphere, like the Criterion collection. I think they kind of leaned into that design aesthetic. But yeah, you're right. It is the reason why they're a stack right here is because I literally don't know where to put them. Just thank goodness that we have amazing people on the Evercade fandom side of things that make these like 3D printable shelf things. Because again, for like what was it? We're up to almost 70 cards or something, right?
I can tell you we're on at the end of this year. We'll be on 78.
78, yeah. Well, so I got these giant shelves right now because I mean, again, if it wasn't for that, I would reach to grab a game and then have 12 follow me. But I love these things. Like it's absolutely crazy that and
I kind of want to ask Sean, because I know it's not for everybody, but it is kind of neat, like how they put all the versions of different games on it. Like, have you guys considered that? Or are you afraid that some people may say, well, why are you putting multiple copies of the same game since they each cost a license? But maybe that's like too niche within it. But
yeah, it's a weird one. It's about perception of value, right? If you bought a collection of games, and there are publishers out there that release games and they release free in a Switch collection, for example, and it's $40 to $60, and you're like, it doesn't feel like a good deal. And that's regardless of knowing about Evercade or anything else like that. You always feel like a bit there. I think, and again, with the price increases in America, this makes it really, really a tricky line to balance. But I think one of the things that Evercade has done really, really well with the community is it's given that value proposition, because if it's not a value proposition in the amount of games that are on a cart, it's a value proposition of the quality of the games that are on a cart and something like that. And I think when you do have a collection that has multiple versions of the same game, you kind of lose that perception a little bit. And that's not in a bad way. Sometimes some people like that. And, the Llamasoft collection is going to have multiple versions of some of those games. I think there's free games that have different alternative versions of those games on there, which is great. And, I don't think that's going to be the last. But if we do it, we need to make sure that the proposition of value is still there in whichever metric that becomes, whether that's price or whether that's what you're getting within the product.
Yeah. I know it's at Llamasoft. I think that'll be kind of fun to see the different. But I know that's not for everybody. But I kind of geek out over those things. Like, hey, it's just even if you just only play it once, just kind of see what's the best version. It's kind of neat to see where it came from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you'd have done, with Llamasoft specifically, we made a very conscious choice to put it all on one cart. Yeah. Right, and it's the Llamasoft collection, not Llamasoft collection 1. We could have split those, but we felt the value proposition wasn't there to split it across multiple collections, and that's partially because what's out there already with the great stuff that Digital Eclipse have done. What some of the games that we've had previously were, and the C64 guys have released previously, so we felt the best value proposition, and also probably the most enjoyable way to enjoy Jeff Minter is to just consume immediately all the things at once and not question too much and just go along for the ride. So
embrace the madness.
That's what I'm looking forward to, because I've never really played any of those games. And I agree. I think you'll do the right thing, because you do see the value proposition. There's a ton of games on there, weird ones, like a Star Wars clone, Robotron clone. It looks really exciting and different.
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool. And when you think that Minter himself was behind probably one of the best Atari vector graphics games ever, and when you look at the output that he did, that game actually seems quite tame compared to all the others as well.
Right.
Yeah, you kind of know what you're in for.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So I think even for me, I think the natives are growing restless over here.
Yeah. I want to keep it to no. This a good hour and a half is a good.
Yeah. No. It's been really good and really nice to be on with you guys again. It's been a little while. I know we've chatted over Discord and stuff like that a few times, and it's really cool to be able to sort of come on as casually as I can, and then be honest and open and chat to you guys and chat to the community a bit. We are a growing company, so we have done this a bit less than we used to, but we have big plans. We're very excited about the big plans. We think you're going to be really excited about the big plans. And my passport's probably going to run out of space next year, but I'm looking forward to coming over to the States and doing stuff, even if it's not exhibiting Evercade specifically or doing that as a specific thing. I'm probably going to go to some events next year.
Nice.
And I'm going to try and sort of see the viability of them. Can we exhibit there? Can we do all those kind of things? Do a bit of a recce, so to speak. So if I'm out there, if there are YouTubers out there or community fans out there at any of these shows, I mean, I've done PRG before. I'd love to do it again. I'd love to be able to do Milwaukee if the time works. All those kind of things. Try and do some, FK meetups. When I say a meetup, it's kind of like if I could hire a bar or something and just have a couple of hours and say, "Hey guys, come and chill, just come and chat."
That's awesome.
I'd love to do some stuff like that, and I think, next year we might have the opportunity to do some of those. And UK guys, don't worry, we've got shows, and I'm always there. So if you don't come and see me and chat to me, that's on you. And I'm at Gamescom quite often as well. So I know Pete's been at Gamescom, and I know that we did not meet in person, but next time.
Yeah. Well, and if you happen to have some room on the calendar in the June-July space, you got to get you over to the East Coast.
Yeah.
There's a big retro game convention that happens in Oaks, PA every year.
Yeah. Well,
that'd be awesome.
Who knows? And to be perfectly honest, I'm happy to get recommendations. Because we're trying to grow and get into more mainstream eyes. But if there's a choice between spending a heck of a ton of money at something like PAX East versus spending less of a heck of a ton of money somewhere else, but makes it more worthwhile, I'm always open for those kind of things.
Very cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, all right. Well, I definitely thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us. It was been awesome talking to you. Hopefully next time it will be less distance in times.
Yeah.
So we can come back and talk.
Hopefully so. And I'm going to go and play my new thing at the moment. I'll show you what it is quickly.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Because some people will know that I have a fascination with these games, but I got the controller.
Wow.
This is the Densha to Go train controller. So this is for the PlayStation.
That's
There's
wild.
Your thing. Cool. There's your break.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to go and enjoy driving some trains.
Very cool. Very cool. You enjoy that. That's awesome. Real quick, do you have anything that you want to plug before we head out?
Please consume more Evercade. No, just again, thank you very much for everybody. I know you guys have all kind of been through it, certainly on stateside. We're trying to make that better. I know Funstock are trying to make that better as well. Mm-hmm. There should hopefully be some good news soon that will enable us to provide Funstock to you guys again. Obviously, it's not feasible at the moment. And that's not out of Funstock's control. That's with postal services and a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we most certainly have not forgotten the US. So watch this space, pre-order the collections as and where and wherever you can, and eat well this year. If you have a very bad time at Thanksgiving, make sure that you've got 5 delicious Evercade carts that you can go and run away with.
That's right. That's good times. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and end it here. And yeah, thanks everyone.
All right. Yep. Thanks again.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Crashline and Mortal Sojourn, Amber Cummings, Joe Whitlash, Alex Groot.